Today we'll be going over some possible trade targets for the Giants. Every pretty much preseason there are trades made in the NFL, and that could happen this year obviously. Like last year, Laramie Tunsil was traded, Minkah Fitzpatrick like after week 1. There was another one. Who was it? I forget who it was now. Oh, Jadeveon Clowney was traded pretty late as well. So those are a few examples of it. So this year there are some good players in contract years that have 1 year left on their contract that I do believe the Giants might take a chance on. It makes sense because most of these players are young. I think one of them might be 30, but other than that, those guys are young. So there's a chance the Giants could take a shot on them and possibly make a trade. Of course, Yannick Ngakoue, those trade rumors are heating up, so of course he'll be addressed in this video. And I also wanted to include that if you don't follow me on Twitter, you probably didn't see this, but I am doing a jersey giveaway for Evan Engram. I have an Evan Engram jersey, honestly haven't worn it, and I'm just going to give it away. I posted it on Twitter. All you have to do is retweet that tweet, put a picture below that you are subscribed to this YouTube channel, and you'll be in that draw. So good luck to whoever enters for that. And with that being said, let's get into the video. So as I hinted before, number one is Yannick Ngakoue. Of course, they have not reached a contract extension yet. This guy was franchised over the offseason, so 1 year left on his contract right now. I think he's the perfect player the Giants need. He's still only 25 years old, and a great pass rusher, can get to the quarterback, which the Giants don't have too much of. I expect O'Shane Ximines to come on this year. Marcus Golden is going to be 29 or 30. I don't really see him as a future piece of this team. He'll be good for the next couple of years, but still, I think Ngakoue is a better player. He would be the best one if the Giants traded for him. So the Giants do have the cap space to do it. Not a lot of teams in the NFL can do that right now because the thing is, if you trade for Yannick Ngakoue, you have to give him an extension. Not this year, but for the next couple of years, or at least 4 or 5 years, whatever his contract will be. You have to extend him and give him probably $16-18 million per year, a pretty good amount, maybe more honestly. And I'm not saying he's not worth it. I mean, obviously I would rather have a Khalil Mack type player than a Yannick Ngakoue, but for what's on the market, he's pretty damn good. And I don't know what it's going to take to get him. If I was the GM, I probably wouldn't give up more than like a third and a fifth. They could do a move because the Jaguars kind of need interior defensive line help. They could do like a Dalvin Tomlinson swap maybe and add like a third or fourth round pick as well. They could do something along those lines. I'm not really sure what the exact trade would be, but I think Yannick's a good player. He would fit this team really well. The Giants do have a solid amount of outside linebacker depth. They even have Kyler Fackrell. They have Lorenzo Carter. They now have O'Shane, as I said, Marcus Golden. There's a good amount of depth here, so they don't need Ngakoue, but if the Giants can get him for a good price, I say do it, but I don't think the Jaguars are going to trade him unless they get a deal they absolutely love. Like, I don't think the Jaguars wanted to trade Jalen Ramsey last year, but they got a deal from the Rams that they couldn't refuse. The 2 first-round picks. They got a pretty good young linebacker, I think, as well. Maybe that was the wrong trade. I can't remember. I think that was a different trade, but you know what I mean. 2 first-round picks. They got a good deal, and I think unless they are blown away, they're probably not going to try and trade Yannick Ngakoue, so I personally don't see it happening, but I think he's one of the best names out there, so I just wanted to include him. Okay, so I was wrong about that. The young linebacker trade was actually Marcus Peters, so I was close, but yeah, it was the wrong trade. Next, we have Marvin Jones, who is the oldest guy on the list. I think he's 30 years old now, so Marvin Jones is a player I've always liked. He was on Cincinnati a while ago, signed a pretty decent-sized deal with the Lions, as you can see here, but Marvin Jones would be a perfect fit, in my opinion, for this offense. He's 6'2", 6'3", I believe, a bigger guy, really good on jump balls, and really good in the red zone, something the Giants could definitely use for sure. Now, if Darius Slayton comes on and turns into a starting caliber wide receiver and does not have that sophomore slump that we hope he can avoid, then there's really no need for Marvin Jones, but this is a deal that I can see happening maybe towards the trade deadline. He's in the final year of his contract. Not sure the Lions are going to go anywhere this year. Of course, they're kind of a rebuilding team. I know they have like a win-now type quarterback and some other win-now type players, but they traded Darius Slay. They're kind of just going backwards. So maybe that's a team that does not compete this year, and maybe there's a team that can trade for a Marvin Jones. And the Giants, as I said, can definitely use a bigger receiver, so he will be a free agent. The Giants can probably handle a contract for him. I don't think a contract for Marvin Jones would cost too much. He's probably more of a $8 to $10 million per year type player, maybe for a 2 or 3 year deal. So the deal wouldn't be crazy, and I think he'd be a nice rental piece as well. Obviously, the Giants should probably wait till free agency next year, but if they really want to get their hands on him and have the rights to him, then I guess that's a trade they can make. I think Marvin Jones is a good locker room guy. Never heard anything bad about him, and he's a former teammate of Golden Tate. So there you go. You match those guys up again. But I think this would be a nice deal. The Giants made a deal with the Lions a couple years ago with Damon Harrison, so maybe him and the GM there and Gettleman have some type of relationship. Not really sure, but just speculating. So I think Marvin Jones would be a good fit here. Just depends if it happens. I'd rather sign him in free agency next year, but if they want to trade for him and give up maybe a 5th or a 6th round pick, something that's not a lot, then I can be on board with that for sure. Next on the list is Desmond King, a cornerback for the Chargers, and he's kind of what I want Darnay Holmes to be like one day, honestly. He's more of a smaller corner. I think they're the same height, 5'10", actually. But King's been a great player for the Chargers the past couple years. I think has a first-team All-Pro to his name a couple years ago as well, so that's phenomenal. He's a really good player. He's more of a slot guy, honestly, but he could play outside. So it really depends how Darnay Holmes performs. If Holmes is a legit player the first half of the year, then forget I ever mentioned this. And honestly, I think those two can coexist. If the Giants have a problem at their number 2 outside corner spot, which is possible if Julian Love doesn't play well, or Corey Ballantyne, or I was going to say Sam Beal, he's out, but whoever's playing outside cornerback for this team, if they're struggling, they could make a move like this. Desmond King is a player I've always liked, and it might not take that much to get him, honestly. Maybe a 4th round pick can do it. I'd be fine with that. So if they can get their hands on a 25-year-old, really good cornerback, I think this would be a good move, honestly. So the Chargers don't have a ton of cap space. I think they have to extend Melvin Ingram as far as I'm concerned. So we'll have to see what happens there. But this is a guy that's going to be a free agent anyway, that the Chargers could try and franchise tag him. But once again, that might cost a lot of money. So maybe if the Chargers are struggling, they're a team that doesn't have a great quarterback now. It's Tyrod Taylor, Justin Herbert. If they're struggling halfway through the year, they might look to unload Desmond King and try to get some type of return rather than have him walk in free agency. So we'll have to see if the Giants or some other team gives a mid-round pick for Desmond King, that might be a good investment. So this is definitely a decent option in my opinion. Might not happen because, as I said, him and Darnay Holmes are pretty similar players. Obviously, King's the better player right now, but of course Holmes can turn into that. So we'll have to wait and see, but I do think this would be a nice fit if the Giants went that route. Last and not least, we have Corey Davis, wide receiver for the Titans, a former 5th overall pick. And I think of all the options on this list, I would take Corey Davis, honestly. I think it makes the most sense. He has the most upside, in my opinion. And I know due to the fact that he was a 5th overall pick, some people might look at him as a complete bust. I don't look at him like that. Guy basically had 900 yards in 2018, which is fine. Of course, A.J. Brown burst onto the scene last year, so he only had over 600 yards. He only had 69 targets, though. He went from 112 targets to 69 targets. Not much you can do for that if you're Corey Davis. So this guy is a person that the Titans declined his 5th-year option. He was a first-round pick, obviously, so he is going to be a free agent next year unless he is somehow franchised. I don't even know if you can franchise someone after declining their option, so we'll have to wait and see, but I'm pretty sure he's a free agent next year. So I don't know if the Giants want to pull a Leonard Williams Part 2 here and trade for him when they could just sign him. I kind of want to just wait till free agency just to sign him so they don't have to give up the assets, but if the Giants really want Corey Davis and feel he can fit in their scheme, then I'm fine giving away a 4th or a 5th round pick for him. I'm not sure how much it would cost, honestly. The guy's obviously very talented, so we'll have to wait and see. But I think if Corey Davis was implemented on a better team, I think he put up some good numbers. It's hard putting up numbers with Marcus Mariota, and it was only 8 games or so of Ryan Tannehill, but mostly it's been Marcus Mariota for him. So it's not like he's been in the best system, and his numbers haven't been complete garbage. I mean, 8.7 yards per target's not that bad. Last year he had a catch percentage of 62%. That's pretty good. So I really can't complain too much about Corey Davis. Obviously, the Titans probably wish he's been better thus far, but maybe if he goes to a new team, he'll be fine. He could have a late career resurgence, kind of like Devontae Parker had for the Dolphins last year. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick comes in, he starts playing much better, and he stays healthy. Corey Davis doesn't have much of a injury history. He's played 11 games, 16 games, and then 15 games, so it's not like the guy's not healthy. He just needs the opportunity, and you can't really do much in the NFL off of 69 targets, and then he had 65 in his rookie year, so there's not much you can do there if you're Corey Davis. I think if the Giants are going to take a shot on a guy on this list, I would take a shot on Corey Davis. He has a bunch of upside, and the Giants need an alpha wide receiver 1, and I think Davis could be that guy one day in the right system. So that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comments some players you think the Giants can go out and trade for before the season starts, maybe at the trade deadline this year, something like that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you next time.